It's pretty big. Pretty big, people. I mean, not like, you know, that, but big. Heavy. Very heavy.
And then, Mark, you know, in this movie, you have a character who's going to go in different directions down the line. In this film, he's got a slightly different role. Do you plan ahead? Do you have to try to hardwire in the future stuff into the movie now, or you kind of play it in the moment?
No, I think you have to, you take what you're given in the moment. I think if, whatever happens to it further down the line, I think if you know that Secret Origins Comics, his job is to be Alan's mentor and put him through his paces, and he kind of earns his grudging respect by the end of the movie. Whatever happens later, that's later.
I told you you were going to feel like Bono up here. What did you think when you came out?
Say that again, sorry?
Remember I told you you were going to feel like Bono when you walked out?
Yeah,
what did you
wonderful thing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So do you.
So Martin, the essential question right off the bat with a film like this is tone. What can you tell us about the tone of the film?
Well, the tone of the movie is it's light and has a lot of humor, but also I think the relationships between all the characters are very real. We've tried to keep the action also very real, and tonally I think there's a lot of humor, clearly with Ryan Reynolds and with Blake and so forth. That's very apparent. And no, it's just a terrific entertainment, I think. And it's my first superhero movie. I've never done one before, unless you count James Bond as a superhero. But he's nothing like Green Lantern, that's all I can say. And particularly a superhero that goes to another world, the world of Oa. I'm sure all of you know more than I do about it. But anyway, it's a totally, I think it's great fun, but I also think it's a terrific adventure as well.
You know, and also, of course, with any superhero property, the costume is key, and it's a vital issue. It can go either way, it can make or break a movie. Talk about, with the costume in this one, some of the decisions you guys made. Yeah, Mark.
Oh, yeah, the costume, you've obviously all seen the costume on the Entertainment Weekly, and so it's always a work in progress. But of course we have the black and green, and we all know about the costume. We've lost the white gloves. We just felt it looked far cooler and far more interesting. And there are also, although in some ways it's hard to see on the picture itself, but there are certain lines which we decided our costume, which of course evolves from the ring, but it's more like a skin on Green Lantern as opposed to a costume. And that was the concept of it. And all the lines are lines of musculature, which was our designer came up with. And if you look at a physiological picture of muscles in the body, of course, all of those lines are very true to that. So a lot of thought's been given to it. It is a work in progress. I think it's really cool that Nyla Dixon, who is our designer, she was on Lord of the Rings, I think has done a fantastic job, and it will eventually look incredibly cool.
You know, Donald, one of the things about this superhero film, this particular film, is that it goes off the planet. Most of the superhero films we see are confined to the alleys of Gotham or maybe the skyscrapers of New York. Talk a little bit about that as a challenge and as an opportunity.
Well, the opportunity is obviously a great one because we're going to take the audience into the center of the universe, to the planet of Oa, and they'll see the 3600 Green Lantern. So I think as an opportunity, what it does for a superhero movie is it takes you into a new realm. As my partner Greg Berlanti always said, it's part of space opera as well. I think though the challenges are many. Obviously we had to create an entire world for this planet of Oa, and we have many teams of artists. We have a great production designer. His name is Grant Major. He also did Lord of the Rings. And we have great creature designers. We obviously will feature many of the famous and well-known Green Lantern characters. Kilowog's going to be there. You're going to see Kilowog. And you saw a little bit is Tom Murray here, and you're going to see besides Sinestro, another large grouping of great Lantern characters that you all know, from Salak and Boudica to that's Mark's favorite, and the Green Man, and on. So it's a lot of the movie will be made digitally in that regard.
You know, and Greg, there's so many places to start with a movie like this. When you were coming in, tell us about your sort of priorities, maybe some of the things you didn't want to happen as far as this first film.
Well, when we were first breaking down the mythology of it, it just seemed like the natural place to start with the Silver Age character in Hal Jordan. It all sort of seemed to kind of go outward from there, and then you're just searching through all the comic books of your youth to find the best villains that you can find, and all the characters that you would want to see. I think that was the guys I wrote the draft with, Michael Green and Mark Guggenheim, who I think are here. We were just kids in the candy shop, really pouring through and putting all our favorite moments in, and we realized we had enough at that point for a few movies, not just for one, and kept pushing stuff off and off so that the audience could go on a real journey on the first one, but not necessarily, we can't give away everything at the beginning.
That's fantastic. And then Jeff, I think when this property started moving forward toward Hollywood at different points, we heard a lot of different ways the movie might have ended up, talking about some of the past projects. And then, as far as you're involved, tell me, how did you feel when you heard about some of the other ideas, like Green Lantern as a comedy, or maybe some of the other things?
Well, one of the very first, when I first worked for Richard Donner, one of the first things we talked about was Green Lantern, and that was about 10 years ago, and one of the executives who's no longer there said, "Can we do the movie without the ring?" And right then I thought there's never going to be a Green Lantern movie. So 10 years later, to see it evolve and maybe misinterpreted as a comedy at one point, and to get to hear and see someone like Martin Campbell and the cast here tackle Green Lantern with the respect and the power, it's a dream come true.
That's fantastic. And then, Ryan, tell us a little bit about the shoot. You guys have been in New Orleans. I know it's kind of sticky hot.
Yeah. Yesterday's weather report was actual fire. It's a warm place. I mean, it's tough to shoot some of the action scenes outside. I mean, but to be down there in Louisiana, it's been such a state that's been pretty in battle of late. It's actually fantastic to be there, to be bringing this kind of attention to that place. I think there's nobody here that would disagree with that, but they've been so welcoming for us there, and it's been amazing. We have about 3 weeks of shooting left to go down there, so God willing, we'll get through it. Yeah.
I know on the home front, your wife is a Marvel character, and I think we're all wondering, does that cause any sort of domestic strife or tension?
We've had some strongly worded dinners. I said this before, but we've probably got a lot more comic books flying around than your average married couple. That's for sure. But maybe not in this room, I don't know. Hands down. Yeah.
Blake, tell us a little bit about your character. Carol Ferris, through the years, has changed. There's different versions of her. For you and this film, what are some of how would you frame her as a person?
Well, Carol Ferris, she's such an exciting woman to play because oftentimes the man is saving the woman, but she gets to save Hal a few times. And they're a bit of rivals. They have this past, this love, but they also, they're competitors. So to be able to spar, just like verbally, and then also to be shooting scenes where we're in these fighter pilot planes. I mean, that was pretty cool. I was so excited. I felt like I was going to be the coolest aunt ever. That was the best part of getting this job. Just calling my nephews. And, this film is so unique in that, there's something that you can actually do in real life, like pilot a plane that these young boys or whoever can look up to, but then you also see them in outer space, flying around. It's just been a wonderful project to be a part of. And to be able to be a strong woman who then becomes a villain later, I can't wait to kick his butt.
Fantastic. And Peter, Hector isn't pure evil in this film. He's got his pulled down a particular path by what happens to him. That probably makes him more interesting for you as an actor.